Lucia was a beautiful young woman, born into a poor family that struggled every single day just to survive. To pay her college tuition, she worked as a waitress in a small cafe at the corner of the busy street. She dreamed of one day becoming a successful doctor, someone who could change not only her own life, but also the lives of people like her parents, who had sacrificed everything for her future. One late afternoon, as the golden light of the sun touched the cafe windows, a man walked in. His presence immediately filled the room. He was Ricardo, a wealthy businessman, older, confident, dressed in a sharp black suit. His eyes, cold yet curious, rested on Lucia as she moved between tables, serving customers with a gentle smile. For Ricardo, it wasn't just her beauty that caught his attention. It was her innocence, her quiet determination, and the way she carried herself despite the weight of poverty. He was used to women chasing him for his wealth, but here was a girl who didn't even glance his way, too focused on her work, too busy trying to hold her world together. Ricardo leaned back in his chair, watching her. He ordered a coffee, though he didn't care for the taste. What he wanted was time, a reason to keep her close. "Your name?" he asked when she placed the cup before him. "Lucia," she replied softly, her voice carrying a mix of shyness and strength. Ricardo smiled. That moment was the beginning. He promised her something that could change her life forever. A world of luxury, freedom from all her financial struggles. But the price he asked in return was far heavier than money. Lucia couldn't sleep that night. Ricardo's words echoed in her head, promising comfort, wealth, and a life she had never even dared to imagine. She stared at the ceiling of her tiny room, where the paint was peeling, and the sound of dripping water filled the silence. For the first time, she felt torn between two worlds, the harsh reality of her present and the tempting dream of a future that seemed too good to be true. The next morning, she went to the cafe as usual. Ricardo was already there, sitting in the corner with his expensive suit and polished shoes. He greeted her with a smile that felt both kind and calculated. "Lucia," he said softly, "I want you to think about my offer. You deserve so much more than this cafe, than this life of struggle. With me, you can have everything, a better home, financial freedom, and the chance to study without worrying about bills." Lucia hesitated, holding the coffee pot in her trembling hands. She thought of her sick mother, her unpaid tuition fees, and her endless shifts at the cafe. A part of her screamed to run away, but another part whispered, "Maybe this is the only way." She gave him a small nod. Not a yes, not a no. Just enough to keep the door open. Ricardo leaned back in his chair, his smile widening, as if he already knew the answer. 1. Days passed, and Ricardo became a regular visitor at the cafe. He never pressured Lucia, but his presence was constant, always waiting in the same corner, always watching her with calm but determined eyes. He brought her small gifts sometimes, a book she once mentioned, a warm scarf for the cold evenings, even medicine for her sick mother. Lucia's heart was conflicted. On one side, she feared losing her dignity and freedom. On the other, she couldn't deny the relief his help brought to her family. For the first time in months, her mother's health improved because the medicine Ricardo provided was far better than what Lucia could afford. One evening, as Lucia was cleaning the cafe tables, Ricardo approached her. "Lucia," he said gently, "life is about choices. Sometimes we have to sacrifice one dream to achieve another. I am not asking you to give up your education. In fact, I will help you finish it. But I want you by my side, as my partner, and one day, maybe even as my wife." The word wife stunned her. She froze, gripping the cloth in her hand. Marriage? That was something she had never imagined with Ricardo. He was wealthy, powerful, respected, but he was also nearly twice her age. That night, Lucia cried silently into her pillow. For the first time, she wondered if love was something she could grow into, or if she was simply selling her soul to survive. After Ricardo's proposal, everything in Lucia's life became heavier. She tried to hide the truth from her family, but her mother noticed the worry in her eyes. "Lucia," her mother whispered one night, "what burdens you, my child?" Lucia couldn't answer. How could she tell her mother that an older, wealthy man wanted to marry her? How could she explain the conflict between survival and dreams? She only hugged her mother tightly and cried. Meanwhile, Ricardo didn't give up. He started visiting Lucia's neighborhood. He offered to help repair their broken roof, paid for her younger brother's school fees, and made sure their home had enough food. The neighbors began whispering, "Who is this rich man always helping them?" Soon rumors spread that Ricardo was in love with Lucia. Some people admired her luck, but others were cruel, saying she was trading her youth for money. Lucia felt trapped between gratitude and shame. One day, Ricardo invited Lucia to his mansion for the first time. The house was breathtaking: tall ceilings, sparkling chandeliers, and walls filled with paintings worth more than her entire neighborhood. For a moment, she felt like she had stepped into another world. "Lucia," Ricardo said as he poured her tea, "this life can be yours. No more struggles, no more hunger. All I ask is your heart." Lucia's hands trembled. She knew Ricardo was serious. But could she truly give her heart to him, or was she only giving her body and dreams away? 2 days turned into weeks, and Ricardo's presence in Lucia's life grew stronger. He was patient but persistent, never missing a chance to remind her of the future he could give. At college, Lucia struggled to focus. Her professors praised her intelligence, but she often stared blankly at her notes, lost in thought. Her best friend, Sophia, noticed the change. "Lucia," Sophia asked one afternoon, "are you in love?" Lucia's cheeks turned red. "No, it's complicated." "Complicated or dangerous?" Sophia pressed. "Remember your dream. Don't let anyone buy your future." Those words echoed in Lucia's mind all night. Meanwhile, Ricardo prepared for his next move. He invited Lucia and her family to a grand charity gala at his hotel. It was the first time Lucia wore an elegant gown. She looked stunning, so radiant that everyone at the event whispered her name. Ricardo proudly introduced her to powerful businessmen and politicians. For the first time, Lucia felt the weight of a luxurious world pressing on her shoulders. Later, as they danced slowly under the golden lights, Ricardo whispered, "Lucia, you belong here. With me. Accept me, and I'll make you the queen of this world." Her heart pounded. The music, the lights, the admiring eyes. It all felt like a dream. But deep inside, another voice cried, "What about your own dreams?" The gala left a deep mark on Lucia's heart. For the first time, she had seen how easily doors opened for her when she was with Ricardo. Yet the weight of Sophia's warning refused to fade. That night, as she removed her jewelry and laid the gown aside, Lucia stared at herself in the mirror. "Do I really belong in that world? Or am I just a guest in someone else's life?" she whispered. The next morning, she returned to the cafe for her shift. The smell of coffee and the chatter of customers grounded her, reminding her of who she truly was. But Ricardo didn't let her escape that easily. He came in, dressed sharply, and sat at his usual table. Lucia, he said gently, I know you're afraid, but you have to understand, I don't just see you as a passing fancy. I see you as my future. Lucia froze. His words were tempting, almost sweet, but something in his tone carried possession more than love. That evening, Sophia confronted her again. Lucia, listen to me. Men like Ricardo don't give without taking. Be careful before you lose yourself. Lucia hugged her friend tightly, her eyes wet. I don't know what to do, Sophia. I'm torn between survival and my dream. Outside, Ricardo's car waited, shining under the streetlights like a golden cage ready to close. 3 days turned into weeks, and Ricardo's presence in Lucia's life grew stronger. He began sending her flowers every morning at the cafe, gifts wrapped in elegant boxes, and even offered to pay her college tuition in full. Lucia, he said one evening while driving her home, you shouldn't have to struggle anymore. Let me take care of everything. His words sounded like salvation, but in her heart, Lucia felt a storm. Accepting his help meant surrendering her independence, yet rejecting it meant facing endless hardship. At home, her mother noticed the change. Lucia, she asked softly, who is this man giving you such gifts? Do you trust him? Lucia avoided her mother's eyes. He wants to help me, but I don't know if I can trust him completely. Her younger brother, still in school, overheard the conversation. If he's rich and wants to help, why not? Maybe he can solve all our problems. Lucia forced a smile, but her chest tightened. She couldn't tell them how complicated Ricardo really was. That night, she sat on her bed, staring at her medical books. My dream is so close, she whispered, but is it worth the price of my soul? The following week, Ricardo invited Lucia to a private dinner at one of the city's most luxurious restaurants. The crystal chandeliers glowed above them, and a live violinist played soft melodies in the background. Lucia, dressed in a simple blue dress, felt out of place among the wealthy crowd. Ricardo leaned closer, his voice calm but persuasive. Lucia, you deserve more than this ordinary life. I want to give you everything. A home, comfort, security. All you need to do is let me in. Lucia's heart raced. She thought of her mother's worried face and her brother's hopeful eyes. Could she accept this man's proposal without losing herself? Trying to stay composed, she asked, and what would you want in return, Ricardo? He smiled, his gaze unwavering. Just your companionship. I want you by my side to share my life. Nothing else. But deep inside, Lucia sensed there was more to his words than he revealed. His generosity seemed too perfect, almost like a trap wrapped in golden paper. After dinner, Ricardo handed her a small velvet box. Inside lay a delicate necklace, shining under the restaurant lights. Consider this a symbol of my sincerity, he said warmly. Lucia hesitated, then accepted it with trembling hands. She whispered a quiet thank you, though her mind was filled with doubts. That night, back in her small bedroom, she placed the necklace on her table and stared at it for hours. It sparkled beautifully, but to her it felt heavy, like chains of an unseen future. She whispered to herself, if I take his path, will I still be free to chase my own dreams? Or will I just become another possession in his we? Days passed and Lucia tried to distract herself with her usual routines, caring for her brother, helping her mother, and working late at the factory. Yet the necklace on her table seemed to watch her, whispering questions she could not silence. One evening, her friend Camila noticed the change in her. Lucia, you've been quiet lately. What's troubling you? Lucia hesitated, then confessed. Ricardo, he wants me to be part of his world. He promises comfort, but I fear what I might lose. Camilla frowned. Be careful. Men like him don't give without expecting something in return. Sometimes their gifts come with invisible chains. Her words struck deep. Lucia realized she was standing at a crossroads between two lives. One filled with hardship but freedom, the other with luxury but uncertainty. That weekend, Ricardo visited her neighborhood again, arriving in his sleek car. Children stopped playing to watch, and neighbors whispered as he stepped out, holding fresh roses. Lucia, he said warmly, I've been thinking about you every day. Let me take you away from all this struggle. With me, you'll never worry again. Her mother, standing at the door, looked uneasy but forced a polite smile. She didn't trust him, yet she also wanted her daughter safe from poverty. Lucia accepted the flowers with trembling hands. Ricardo, I need time. Please understand. I can't decide so quickly. Ricardo's eyes darkened for a moment, but he quickly regained his charm. Take all the time you need, querida. I'll be waiting. As he drove away, Lucia felt a storm brewing inside her heart. For the first time, she wondered if love and security could truly exist together, or if choosing one always meant sacrificing the other. The following weeks brought heavier burdens. The factory cut wages again, and Lucia's mother grew weaker with illness. Lucia worked longer hours, yet the money was never enough. Each night she stared at the necklace, torn between desperation and fear. One night she dreamt of her father, who had passed away years ago. In the dream he said gently, My daughter, don't sell your soul for comfort. True strength is found in what you endure, not what you escape. She woke with tears, clutching her chest as if his voice still echoed there. The next morning, Ricardo appeared unannounced. This time he wasn't smiling. His tone was urgent. Lucia, I cannot wait forever. I want you by my side. I've prepared everything. A new home, a life of ease. But you must choose now. Her mother, lying on the bed, whispered weakly, My child, do what keeps your heart alive, not just your body. Lucia felt the weight of two worlds pressing on her. She looked at Ricardo, at the roses he carried, at the shining car waiting outside. Then she looked back at her mother, her brother, the small home that held her memories. Taking a deep breath, she spoke firmly. Ricardo, I'm grateful for what you offer, but I cannot be bought. My heart does not belong to wealth. It belongs to freedom. If love is real, it should not demand I trade my soul. For a moment, silence hung in the air. Ricardo's charm cracked, revealing frustration. He clenched his fists, then forced a smile. Very well, Lucia. Perhaps you're not ready, but remember, comfort will call you again, and when it does, I'll be waiting. He left, his car disappearing down the narrow street. Lucia closed the door, her heart racing but strangely lighter. She knelt beside her mother, holding her hand. Though uncertainty still loomed, she felt a new strength rising within her, a strength not given by luxury but born from sacrifice, love, and courage. For the first time, Lucia realized she was not just surviving. She was choosing her own path, even if it was the harder one. Great.